The morning sun cast long shadows across the gleaming towers of New Angeles. As Captain Jake Morrison stepped onto the observation deck of Earth Defense Station Omega 7, the massive space station floated 300 miles above Earth, its metal corridors humming with the constant activity of the defense fleet. Jake had been running the station for 5 years now, and every day still amazed him. From up here, Earth looked perfect. The blue ocean sparkled like jewels, and the white clouds drifted peacefully across the continents. It was hard to believe that just 80 years ago, people thought humans would never leave their home planet. Now in 2087, human cities stretched across Mars, Europa, and 12 other worlds. The space elevators that connected Earth to the orbital stations carried thousands of people every day. Cargo ships moved between the planets like buses in an old city. Jake walked to his command chair and checked the morning reports. Lieutenant Amy Foster was already at her station, watching the deep space monitors. She had joined his crew 2 years ago, fresh from the academy on Luna. Her sharp eyes and quick mind made her perfect for spotting trouble before it arrived. "Anything interesting out there, Amy?" Jake asked as he settled into his chair. Amy frowned at her screens. "Actually, sir, there's something strange happening near Jupiter. I'm picking up some weird energy readings." Jake moved to look over her shoulder. The display showed Jupiter's orbit with dozens of mining stations and research posts scattered around the giant planet. Everything looked normal, but the energy readings Amy was tracking showed patterns he had never seen before. "What kind of energy?" Jake asked. "That's the problem, sir. The computer can't identify it. It's like nothing in our databases." Amy's fingers danced across her controls, trying different sensor settings. The readings are getting stronger. Other crew members began gathering around Amy's station. Chief Engineer Rick Barnes scratched his gray beard as he studied the data. "Could be some kind of solar storm," he suggested. "No." Amy shook her head. "Solar storms have different patterns. This looks almost like—" She paused, checking her readings again. Like space itself is bending. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. In all his years of military service, he had learned to trust that feeling. When something seemed wrong, it usually was. "Red alert," he ordered. "All stations, prepare for possible contact." The station's lights shifted to red as alarms sounded throughout the corridors. Jake opened a communication channel to Earth Defense Command. "Control, this is Omega 7. We have unknown energy signatures near Jupiter, requesting backup." Before Control could respond, Amy gasped, "Sir, you need to see this." The main screen flickered and then showed Jupiter's orbit, the space realm. The giant planet was rippling like water. Then, with a flash of brilliant light, massive ships began appearing out of nowhere. Not one or two ships, but hundreds of them. Each vessel was easily the size of a city, made of some kind of crystal, material that pulsed with purple light. "My God," whispered Rick. "Where did they come from?" Jake stared at the alien fleet in shock. In all of human history, they had never encountered another intelligent species. Scientists had always wondered if humans were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was terrifying. The alien ships moved with perfect coordination, forming attack formations around Jupiter. Their hulls seemed to shift and change like living things. Strange symbols glowed along their sides, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat. "Incoming transmission," Amy reported, her voice tight with fear. "It's on all frequencies. Put it on screen." Jake ordered. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge step back. The alien was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow from within. Its eyes were large and completely black, like deep pools of water. When it spoke, its voice was cold and emotionless. "People of Earth," the alien began, "I am Commander Zexstar of the HFY Empire. We have traveled through time itself to reach you." Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Time travel. It sounded like something from old science fiction movies. "We come from your future." Commander Zexstar continued. "In our time, the year 2847, humanity has conquered the galaxy. Your species has reduced the mighty HFY Empire to nothing. More than servants and slaves, we have come back to change this future." The alien's image leaned forward, its black eyes seeming to look directly at Jake through the screen. "We know that in your primitive time, you have no defense against our advanced technology. We offer you one chance. Surrender your planet now, and we will allow some of your people to live as workers in our empire." Jake clenched his fists. No one threatened Earth, no matter how advanced they claimed to be. "You have 72 of your hours to decide, Commander." Zextar said, "If you refuse, we will destroy every human settlement in this solar system. Your cities will burn, your colonies will be dust, your species will be extinct." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Amy turned to Jake, her face pale. "Sir, our sensors show they have enough firepower to crack planets in half." Jake looked at the alien fleet on the main screen. Hundreds of massive ships, technology from the future, and the power to destroy worlds. Any rational person would be terrified, but as Jake studied the alien vessels, he noticed something that made him smile. "Amy, send an immediate message to President Carter. Tell her we have visitors, and they think they're going to win." "Sir?" Amy looked confused. Jake kept watching the alien ships. "Also tell her to contact Dr. Walsh. I think it's time to let our guests know they've made a very big mistake." As Jake gave his orders, he thought about all the times in human history when enemies had underestimated humanity. Every time, those enemies had learned the same hard lesson. Humans might look primitive, but they had a gift for turning impossible situations into victories. The Kethai thought they were dealing with a primitive species from the past. They had no idea what humanity had really become. President Lisa Carter stood in the underground emergency bunker beneath Washington, D.C., staring at the holographic display that showed the alien fleet near Jupiter. The room was filled with her top advisors, military commanders, and scientists. Everyone looked worried except for one man who sat calmly in the corner. Dr. Kevin Walsh was an older man with white hair and kind eyes. He ran the government's most secret research division, and Lisa had called him the moment she received Jake Morrison's message for the past hour. He had been listening to the reports about the alien threat without saying a word. "General Bob." Hayes slammed his fist on the table. "Madam President, we need to mobilize every ship we have. These aliens want to fight. We'll give them one." "With what?" asked Admiral Kate Miller. "Our best weapons are plasma cannons and nuclear missiles. These aliens have technology from 800 years in the future. It would be like fighting tanks with stone spears." Lisa rubbed her temples. The weight of humanity's survival rested on her shoulders. "Dr. Walsh, you've been quiet. What's your opinion?" Dr. Walsh stood up slowly and walked to the holographic display. He studied the alien ships for a long moment, then turned to face the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, I need to tell you something that has been classified for over 30 years. The room fell silent. Lisa had never seen Dr. Walsh look so serious since 2054. The United States government has been working on a project called the Chronos Initiative. We have been developing time travel technology. General Hayes laughed. "Time travel? Kevin, this isn't a science fiction movie." Dr. Walsh pressed a button on his wrist device. The air in front of him began to shimmer, and suddenly a woman appeared. Out of nowhere, she wore a strange uniform that seemed to be made of shifting metal, and her eyes glowed with a faint blue light. "Everyone, meet Agent Claire Thompson," Dr. Walsh said calmly. "She just returned from the year 2156. The room erupted in shocked voices. Several people jumped back from the woman who had appeared from thin air. Admiral Miller reached for her sidearm before Lisa raised a hand to stop her. Claire looked around the room and smiled. "Good afternoon, everyone. I know this is a lot to take in, but we don't have much time to explain. This is impossible," General Hayes stammered. Dr. Walsh shook his head. "Bob, human time travel works differently than what the aliens are using. They use brute force to tear holes in time. It's loud, messy, and easy to detect. We developed quantum threading technology. It's subtle, quiet, and leaves almost no trace." Claire activated a device on her arm, and the holographic display changed to show a timeline stretching from the present to thousands of years in the future. The Kethai's arrival was expected. Human agents in the future detected their temporal incursion and sent back detailed intelligence. Lisa stared at the timeline display. "You're saying we knew they were coming?" "Not just knew," Claire replied. "We've been preparing for this moment for decades. Every major breakthrough humanity has achieved in the last 30 years was guided by information from the future." Dr. Walsh walked to another section of the display. Cancer was cured in 2063 because agents from 2098 provided the key research data. Fusion energy was perfected in 2071 thanks to specifications from 2134. Faster-than-light travel was achieved in 2078 using principles discovered in 2205. Admiral Miller sat down heavily in her chair. "You're telling us that human progress has been artificially accelerated. not artificially. Claire corrected. We've been guiding our own development. Every piece of future knowledge we provided was carefully chosen to avoid paradoxes. We gave ourselves just enough help to stay on the right path. Colonel Steve Miller, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. I'm the military commander of the Chronos Initiative. We have agents stationed throughout history. From the Renaissance to 5,000 years in the future, we've been preventing other species from interfering with Earth's timeline for decades. Lisa felt her understanding of reality shifting. How many people know about this? Fewer than 100 worldwide, Dr. Walsh replied. The secret has been passed down through 5 presidents. You're the 6th. General Hayes was still staring at Claire. If we have time travel technology, why haven't we used it to solve all our problems? Claire's expression became serious. Because time travel isn't about solving problems, General. It's about winning wars that haven't been fought yet. The Kethi think they're invading primitive Earth in 2087. What they don't realize is that they're fighting humans who have already won the war in 2847. The display changed again, showing technical specifications for weapons and defenses that were centuries ahead of anything the aliens possessed. Our lunar bases are equipped with shield generators that can counter Kethi energy weapons. Our ships carry temporal displacement bombs that can erase targets from multiple timelines. Simultaneously, Dr. Walsh smiled for the first time since entering the room. The aliens studied human technology from 2087 to plan their invasion, but the humans they studied were already using technology from 2400. Lisa looked around the room at her advisors. Some looked excited, others appeared terrified. So what you're telling me is that we're not facing a superior enemy? No, Madam President, Claire replied. We're facing desperate aliens who don't understand that they lost this war before they even started it. They came back in time to prevent human dominance. But human dominance is what made it possible for us to be ready for them. Colonel Miller activated another display showing Earth's hidden defenses. Every major city has temporal shield generators. Every military base has weapons that won't be invented for another centuries. Every spacecraft has armor that can withstand attacks from the future. The Kethi have one advantage, Dr. Walsh added. They have more ships than we do. But quantity doesn't matter when you're fighting an enemy that knows exactly what you're going to do before you do it. Claire checked her wrist device. Madam President, in exactly 6 hours, the Kethi will send a scouting force to probe Earth's defenses. They expect to find primitive missile silos and chemical rockets. Instead, they're going to encounter temporal weapons that will completely destroy their understanding of human capabilities. Lisa stood up and walked to the display showing the alien fleet. For the first time since the crisis began, she felt confident. Dr. Walsh, Colonel Miller, Agent Thompson, I want you to show these aliens why traveling through time to fight humans was the worst mistake they could have made. As the meeting broke up and the advisors left to prepare for battle, Lisa remained in the bunker staring at the alien fleet. The Kethi had come from the future to prevent human dominance of the galaxy. What they didn't know was that humans had been dominating time itself for over 30 years. The real war was about to begin, and humanity had already won it. Commander Zexstar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the primitive planet Earth through the main viewing screen. His pale blue skin glowed with confidence as he prepared to begin the attack that would change galactic history. Around him, Kethi officers worked at crystal control panels, their black eyes focused on their tasks. Begin the assault, Zexstar ordered. Target their lunar colonies first. Show these humans what real power looks like. 100 Kethi warships broke away from the main fleet and headed toward Earth's moon. Their crystal hulls pulsed with purple energy as they charged their plasma weapons. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a city, and Zexstar expected the human colonies to surrender immediately on Luna Base. Commander Ryan Bell watched the alien ships approaching on his tactical display. He was a veteran of the Mars colonial wars and had never backed down from a fight. His defense team waited nervously at their stations, but Ryan remained calm. Sir, the alien ships are almost in weapon range, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Dan Cooper. Their plasma signatures are off the charts. Ryan pressed a button on his command chair. Activate the temporal shields around Luna Base. The ground began to glow with a soft blue light. Ancient-looking stone pillars rose from the lunar surface, but these weren't decorations. They were shield generators that had been disguised to look like simple monuments. The technology inside them was from the year 2334. The HFY ships opened fire, sending streams of purple plasma toward the lunar colonies. The energy beams should have melted through any known human defense. Instead, they struck an invisible barrier and simply disappeared. Commander Zextar stared in shock as his most powerful weapons had no effect on the human base. Impossible. Our intelligence said humans only have primitive nuclear weapons. His science officer, a tall HFY named Velthin, studied the energy. Readings, sir. The humans are using some kind of temporal shielding. The energy signature suggests technology that won't be invented for another 200 years. Zextar's confidence began to crack. That's impossible. We studied human development carefully. They should have no defense against our weapons. While the HFY fleet struggled to understand what was happening at Luna Base, Agent Claire Thompson was leading a covert mission aboard their flagship. She materialized inside the alien ship using quantum phasing technology, bringing with her a team of 5 other temporal agents. Agent Matt Johnson, a specialist in alien technology, looked around the crystal corridors of the HFY ship. Their security systems are impressive, but they're designed to stop physical intruders, not quantum entities. Claire checked her wrist device. We have 20 minutes before they detect our presence. Matt, find their temporal anchor. Everyone else, gather intelligence on their fleet composition. The team spread out through the alien ship. The HFY had built their vessels using biotechnology, with living walls that pulsed like heartbeats. Strange symbols glowed along the corridors, and the air hummed with energy that made the human skin tingle. Agent Ben Harris found the ship's communication center and began downloading their tactical data. What he discovered made him call the others immediately. Claire, you need to see this. The aliens have detailed files on human military capabilities, but all the information is wrong. Claire looked at the alien data files. According to HFY intelligence, humans in 2087 still used chemical rockets and metal bullets. There was no mention of plasma weapons, energy shields, or faster-than-light travel. They studied the wrong timeline. She realized. They analyzed a version of 2087 where humans didn't have temporal assistance. Agent Matt Johnson found the temporal anchor in the ship's core. It was a massive crystal that pulsed with the same purple energy as the ship's weapons. This device keeps them locked in our timeline. He explained to Claire, if we can modify it, we can send them back to their own time, whether they want to go or not. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Walsh was in the Pacific Ocean facility that housed humanity's most secret installation. The underwater base was built around a temporal communications ray that looked like a massive metal tree, with thousands of branches reaching in all directions. Dr. Walsh activated the ray and began sending messages across time itself. Agent Rodriguez in 1847, this is Control. Begin Phase 3 of Operation Temporal Shield. He switched to another channel. Agent Kim in 1134. Activate the historical database upload. Another channel open. Agent Brown at 3156. We need confirmation on HFY tactical weaknesses. Responses came back from across history within seconds. Human agents stationed throughout time began reporting their status and providing crucial intelligence. The HFY had studied one version of human development, but they had no idea that humans had been changing their own history for decades. Back in space, the battle was turning into a disaster for the alien fleet. Their plasma weapons couldn't penetrate human shields, and their ships were being torn apart by weapons that shouldn't exist. Earth's defense platforms fired temporal disruption beams that aged sections of alien ships by thousands of years and seconds. Captain Jake Morrison, still commanding from his space station, watched the alien fleet falling apart. Amy, patch me through to the HFY flagship. Commander Zextar's image appeared on the screen, but he no longer looked confident. His pale blue skin had turned almost white with fear. Human Commander, your weapons are impossible. How do you possess technology from our future? Jake smiled. Commander, you made a mistake when you decided to fight humans. We don't just adapt to our enemies, we make sure we win before the fight even starts. On the HFY flagship, Agent Claire Thompson had finished modifying the temporal anchor. Matt, initiate the timeline lock. Make sure they can't jump back to their own time. Agent Matt Johnson's hands moved over the alien crystal controls. Done. They're stuck here until we decide to let them go. Claire activated her communication device. Control. This is Thompson. The HFY fleet is neutralized. Their temporal anchor is under our control, and their weapons are useless against our defenses. Dr. Walsh's voice came through the communicator. Excellent work. Agent Thompson, Phase 4 is ready to begin. On the flagship bridge, Commander Zexstar received a communication from his science teams. The report was devastating. Human temporal signatures could be detected throughout galactic history, going back millions of years. Humanity hadn't just been changing their own timeline. They had been influencing the development of every major species in the galaxy. Sir, Velthan reported with a trembling voice, our analysis shows that human agents have been operating in our past as well. The technology we used to develop time travel was based on research we found in our ancient archives, research that appears to have been written by humans. Zexstar felt his world crumbling around him. Are you saying that humans taught us how to build time machines? Yes, sir. And the intelligence we gathered about 2087 Earth was found in the same archives. The humans wanted us to come here. This entire invasion was planned by them. Commander Zexstar looked at the tactical display showing his fleet being systematically destroyed by impossible weapons. His ships were centuries more advanced than anything 2087 Earth should possess. But the humans were fighting with technology from even further in the future. A new communication came through from Earth. President Lisa Carter's image appeared on the main screen, and she was smiling. Commander Zexstar, I believe it's time we had a conversation about your surrender. Zexstar stared at the human. President. His mighty fleet was defeated, his weapons were useless, and his enemies had been expecting him for decades. The Kethai had traveled through time to prevent human dominance, but they had walked directly into a trap that had been set centuries before they were even born. For the first time in his life, Commander Zexstar understood what it meant to be completely outmatched. The humans hadn't just won this battle. They had been winning it for longer than his entire civilization had existed. The battle across the solar system had been raging for 6 hours. But it wasn't really a battle anymore. It was a demonstration of human superiority. Kethai ships drifted through space as burning wrecks, their crews sending desperate surrender signals that went unanswered. In the White House bunker, President Lisa Carter watched the tactical displays with satisfaction. The alien fleet that had seemed so terrifying 12 hours ago was now completely helpless, but she knew the real revelation was yet to come. A shimmer in the air announced the arrival of another time agent. This woman was different from Claire Thompson. Her uniform was made of materials that seemed to bend light around them, and her eyes held the wisdom of someone who had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. Madam President, Dr. Walsh said, meet Agent Sarah Johnson. She operates from the year 3241. Sarah stepped forward and activated a holographic projector that filled the entire bunker with a three-dimensional timeline. The display stretched from the present moment to thousands of years in the future, with countless branching paths showing different possible histories. President Carter, Sarah began, it's time you understood the true scope of what humanity has accomplished. The Kethai invasion was not an unexpected threat. It was the final step in a plan that began over 800 years ago. Lisa stared at the massive timeline display. What do you mean? Sarah pointed to a section of the timeline marked 2847. In the original timeline, the Kethai Empire was a peaceful trading civilization. They had no military to speak of, no weapons of war, and no desire to conquer other worlds. They were content to explore the galaxy and share knowledge with other species. The display shifted to show the Kethai homeworld as it had been in that original timeline. Beautiful crystal cities floated in the clouds above a blue-green planet. The aliens lived in harmony with their environment and had never known war. What changed? General Hayes asked. They met us, Sarah replied simply, in 2847. Human expansion fleets reached Kethai space. The meeting was peaceful at first, but the Kethai quickly realized that humanity was not just another species. We were something they had never encountered before. The timeline display showed human colonies spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. Everywhere humans went, they didn't just settle on empty worlds. They improved existing civilizations, shared advanced technology, and created prosperity that had never been seen before. The Kethai weren't conquered, Sarah continued. They were overwhelmed by human success. Within 50 years of first contact, every major trade route in the galaxy was controlled by human corporations. Every significant scientific breakthrough was made by human researchers. Every military conflict was resolved by human peacekeepers. Admiral Miller leaned forward. So they developed time travel to prevent our expansion? Not at first, Sarah said. Initially, they tried to compete with us using conventional means. They built bigger ships, developed better weapons, and formed alliances with other species. But every time they thought they had an advantage, humans would reveal some new capability that made their efforts pointless. The display showed a series of conflicts between 2847 and 2897. In each case, the HFY and their allies appeared to have superior forces, only to be defeated by human technology. That seemed to come from nowhere. The truth is that by 2847, humans had been using time travel for over 700 years. Every battle the HFY fought against us was a battle we had already studied, planned for. And 1 decade before it happened, Dr. Walsh activated another section of the display. Sarah showed them the Deep History Project. The timeline expanded to show not just human history, but the history of the entire galaxy stretching back millions of years. Scattered throughout this vast span of time were small markers indicating human temporal operations. Sarah's expression became serious. Ladies and gentlemen, humanity's temporal operations began in 2054, but they didn't stop with our own history. Once we mastered time travel, we began what we call the Deep History Project. The markers on the display began to glow, showing a pattern that spanned millennia. Human agents have been operating throughout galactic history for the past 30 years of our time, but millions of years of galactic time. We have been carefully guiding the development of every major civilization in the galaxy. Lisa felt her understanding of reality shifting once again. You're saying we've been manipulating alien civilizations for millions of years? Not manipulating, Sarah corrected, guiding. Every species that developed intelligence did so because human agents ensured they had the right environmental conditions. Every technological breakthrough that led to space travel was inspired by human-planted discoveries. Every war that ended in peace was resolved through human intervention. General Hayes stared at the display in shock. Why would we do such a thing? Agent Sarah Johnson smiled. Because humans learned something very important when we first developed time travel. The galaxy is a dangerous place, full of species that could become threats to Earth. The best way to deal with potential enemies is to make sure they never become enemies in the first place. A new voice spoke from the shadows of the bunker, and sometimes you have to create the perfect enemy to justify the perfect solution. Everyone turned to see another figure emerging from a temporal portal. This agent was different from the others. His uniform was black as space itself, and his eyes held a coldness that made everyone in the room step back. Agent Nick Davis, Dr. Walsh said quietly. He operates from the year 4521. Nick activated his own display, showing the HFY timeline in detail. The HFY empire you see today was created by us. In the original timeline, they never developed military technology. They never formed an empire. They never became a threat to human expansion. The display showed human agents working throughout HFY history. They provided the initial research that led to HFY military technology. They planted the historical records that made the HFY believe they had once been a great warrior civilization. They even provided the archaeological evidence that convinced the HFY they needed to reclaim their lost glory. Every piece of intelligence the HFY used to plan this invasion was carefully created by human agents and planted in their archives. Nick continued, we wrote their history books. We designed their weapons. We told them exactly when and how to attack Earth. President Carter felt sick. You're saying we created our own enemies. We created the last enemy, Nick replied. The HFY represent the final potential threat to human galactic dominance. Every other species in the galaxy has been guided into becoming either our allies or our subjects. The HFY were the only ones left who could have developed the technology to challenge us. The timeline display shifted to show the present moment and beyond. By allowing them to attack us and then defeating them so completely, we have demonstrated to every species in the galaxy that resistance to human leadership is not just futile, but impossible. Agent Sarah Johnson stepped forward. The battle you witnessed today was seen by representatives from over 300 different civilizations. They all received the same message. Humans don't just have superior technology. We have superior knowledge of time itself. Dr. Walsh activated a communication panel. In fact, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 different species that weren't even involved in this conflict. The demonstration of our temporal capabilities has convinced them that cooperation with humanity is their only option for survival. Commander Zextar's image appeared on the main screen. The HFY leader looked broken and defeated. President Carter, I request permission to speak with you. Lisa nodded. You may speak, Commander. We have analyzed the battle results, Zextar said slowly. Our science teams have concluded that human temporal operations span millions of years of galactic history. We also discovered that our own technological development was guided by human agents. Even our decision to travel back in time was influenced by information you provided. The alien commander's black eyes stared directly at Lisa. We came here to prevent human dominance of the galaxy, but we realize now that human dominance was established long before our civilization even existed. We are not fighting an enemy, we are fighting the architects of galactic history itself. Agent Nick Davis stepped into view of the communication screen. Commander Zextar, you have two choices. You could accept integration into the human-led galactic community, or you could be erased from all timelines. The choice is yours, but choose quickly. Zextar looked at the human agent with a mixture of fear and respect. If we surrender, what happens to my people? You survive, Nick replied. You retain your homeworld, your culture, and your dignity. In exchange, you share your temporal technology and join our alliance. You become partners in building the future instead of obstacles. To be removed, Lisa watched the alien commander consider his options. She realized that this moment had been planned for decades by people she had never met, using knowledge from futures she couldn't imagine. Commander Zextar, she said, humanity doesn't want to destroy the HFY. We want to work with you to build a galaxy where every species can prosper under human guidance. The alien leader was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke the words that would end the last threat to human galactic supremacy. The HFY Empire accepts your terms. We surrender unconditionally. As the communication ended, Agent Nick Davis turned to President Carter. Phase 5 begins. Now, the galaxy is ready for full integration under human leadership. Lisa looked around the bunker at the agents from humanity's future. The battle was over, but she realized that the real war had been won before she was even born. Humanity hadn't just conquered space. They had conquered time itself and used that power to shape the destiny of every living being in the galaxy. 6 months had passed since the HFY surrender, and Earth looked different than it had before the invasion. The orbital stations around the planet now included massive crystal structures that pulsed with the same purple energy as HFY. Technology, alien and human engineers worked side by side, creating temporal monitoring stations that could detect any attempt at time travel from anywhere in the galaxy. President Lisa Carter stood in the newly built Integration Center on Luna Base, watching as former enemies became partners. Through the large windows, she could see HFY ships docked alongside human vessels. The alien crews were learning human technology while teaching their own temporal techniques. To human scientists, Commander Zextar approached her, his pale blue skin no longer glowing with arrogance, but with something that looked like respect. Over the past months, he had become an unexpected ally. His people's knowledge of temporal physics, combined with human strategic thinking, was creating possibilities that neither species could have achieved alone. President Carter, Zextar said, my science teams have finished analyzing your temporal network. The scope of what humanity has accomplished is beyond anything we imagined possible. Lisa turned to face the alien commander. And what have they concluded? That the HFY Empire owes its very existence to human planning. Zextar replied, even our language, our culture, and our understanding of science were shaped by your agents over thousands of years. We are not just your former enemies. We are your creation. Dr. Walsh emerged from a nearby laboratory, his white hair now showing streaks of blue from working with HFY temporal fields. Zextar is correct, Madam President. The integration of our technologies has revealed something remarkable. The combined human HFY temporal network is not just more powerful than either system alone. It's fundamentally different. Agent Claire Thompson materialized beside them, returning from another mission to the future. Her expression showed the satisfaction of someone who had just witnessed humanity's ultimate victory. I've just returned from the year 5847, exactly 3,000 years after the original HFY timeline. The results of our integration are beyond what anyone predicted. She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy as it would exist in the far future. Instead of the human-dominated empire that the HFY had feared, the display showed something entirely different. Hundreds of species worked together in a vast confederation, with humans providing leadership and guidance, while each civilization maintained its unique identity and culture. The galaxy in 5847 is not conquered territory, Claire explained. It's a cooperative alliance of over 800 different species. The HFY aren't subjects or slaves. They're valued partners who help maintain the temporal stability. That makes this alliance possible. Zextar studied the display with amazement. In our original timeline, we feared that human dominance would mean the end of alien cultures. Instead, it has preserved and strengthened them. Agent Sarah Johnson appeared through a temporal portal, carrying reports from multiple timelines. The integration has created what we call a temporal convergence point. Every possible future timeline now leads to the same result, a galaxy-wide alliance under human guidance. General Hayes, who had spent months learning to work with alien technology, joined the group. What does that mean for Earth's security? Sarah smiled. It means that Earth is now mathematically safe from any possible threat. No species in the galaxy can develop technology that could challenge the human HFY alliance. No civilization can arise that would want to challenge us. The future is not just secure, it's guaranteed. Dr. Walsh activated another section of the display. The combined temporal network allows us to monitor every species in the galaxy in real time, across all timelines. If any civilization begins developing dangerous technology, we can guide them toward safer alternatives before they even realize what they're doing. President Carter looked at the representatives of humanity's future gathered around her. So we've won completely. Agent Nick Davis stepped out of the shadows, his black uniform now showing small crystal decorations that marked his partnership with HFY. Temporal specialists, not one. Madam President, we've evolved beyond the concept of winning and losing. The galaxy is no longer a place where species compete for dominance. It's a garden where humanity tends to the growth of all civilizations. Commander Zextar activated his own communication device. President Carter, I would like to show you something that my people have been working on. The holographic display changed to show the HFY homeworld, but it looked completely different from the crystal cities Sarah had shown them months ago. The planet now hosted a massive installation that looked like a combination of human engineering and HFY artistry. Crystalline towers stretched into space while metal foundations anchored them to the planet's surface. This is the Galactic Temporal Observatory, Zextar explained. It monitors time itself across the entire galaxy. From this facility, human and HFY agents can observe the development of every civilization and guide them toward prosperity and peace. Agent Claire Thompson checked her wrist device. In fact, we're already using the observatory to assist 17 different species with challenges ranging from climate change to civil wars. None of them know we're helping, but their problems are being solved through carefully timed inspiration and technological breakthroughs. Lisa walked to the window and looked out at the Earth below. The blue planet looked the same as it always had, but she knew that everything had changed. Humanity had not just won a war against alien invaders. They had won the ultimate victory, the power to shape the destiny of all life in the galaxy. Agent Matt Johnson materialized in the room, carrying a device that pulsed with temporal energy. Madam President, we've received a message from Agent Rodriguez. He's stationed in the year 7134 and reports that the Alliance model is spreading beyond our galaxy. Other galaxies are requesting human assistance in establishing their own cooperative civilizations. Dr. Walsh laughed. It seems that our success has attracted attention from outside the Milky Way. Commander Zextar looked thoughtful. Perhaps that was always the plan. Create a perfect model of galactic cooperation that would inspire other galaxies to follow the same path. Agent Nick Davis nodded. The Deep History Project was never just about our galaxy. It was about establishing humanity as the guiding force for intelligent life. Throughout the universe, President Carter felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on her shoulders. Are we ready for that kind of responsibility? Humanity has been ready for 800 years, Agent Sarah Johnson replied. We've just been taking our time to make sure we do it right. A new temporal portal opened, and Agent Ben Harris stepped through carrying reports from across the timeline. Madam President, I have a message from Dr. Walsh in the year 2954. He asks me to tell you that Phase 6 of the Human Integration Protocol is ready to begin. Lisa looked around at the assembled agents. scientists, and alien allies. Phase 6. Dr. Walsh smiled. Expanding beyond our galaxy, Madam President. It's time to bring human guidance to the rest of the universe. As the meeting concluded and the various agents returned to their missions across time, President Carter remained at the window looking down at Earth. The planet that had once seemed so small and vulnerable was now the center of a galactic alliance that spanned thousands of years and hundreds of species. The HFY had traveled through time to prevent human dominance of the galaxy. Instead, they had become partners in something far greater, the human guidance of all intelligent life in the universe. They had tried to change the future, but they had discovered that humans had already won every possible future. Before the game even began, Agent Claire Thompson appeared beside her one last time. Madam President, I'm being sent to the year 9847 to begin preliminary contact with civilizations in the Andromeda Galaxy. Any message you'd like me to carry to humanity's future? Lisa smiled as she watched human and HFY ships working together in Earth's orbit. Tell them that the species that tried to prevent our victory became our greatest allies, and tell them that humanity's true strength was never our technology or our weapons. It was our ability to turn enemies into friends across all of time itself. As Claire disappeared into another temporal portal, President Carter understood the ultimate lesson of the HFY invasion. The aliens had tried time travel to defeat humanity, but they had discovered that humans don't just conquer space or time. Humans conquer the very concept of conflict itself, turning every possible enemy into a willing ally. The future belonged to humanity not because they were the strongest, but because they had made everyone else want to be part of their story. And that story was just beginning.